Welcome back to Jikook Universe. Here we don't just tell love stories, we unfold the quiet tension beneath them. The glances that linger a second too long. The promises signed in ink and rewritten by the heart. Tonight we step into a world inspired by Zhao Lusi and Chen Zheyuan. A story born from the unforgettable chemistry they shared in hidden love, but reimagined in a more fragile, more complicated reality. What happens when marriage begins not with a confession, but with a contract? When two people stand side by side for the world to see, perfectly composed, perfectly convincing, yet carry separate storms behind closed doors. This is not just a story about obligation. It's about expectation, about family pressure, about the quiet evolution of feelings that were never meant to exist. Because sometimes, love doesn't arrive with fireworks. Sometimes it grows in silence, in shared spaces, in unspoken care, in the way someone waits without asking to be noticed. And sometimes just when that fragile connection begins to bloom, the past returns. First love. Second chance. A choice that could unravel everything. Tonight, in Jikook Universe, we explore a romance that begins as an agreement, and slowly becomes a question of the heart. Let's step inside the contract. Rumors about a contract marriage between Zhao Lusi and Chen Zheyuan have once again sparked conversations among C-drama fans. Ever since they starred together in the hit drama Hidden Love, their on-screen chemistry has felt so natural that many viewers found it difficult to separate fiction from reality. But what if we imagine their story in a more dramatic fictional version? One filled with family pressure, a forced contract marriage, and a love that ultimately finds its way back. In this imagined storyline, Zhao Lusi is portrayed as a young woman trapped by circumstances beyond her control. Her father's company is on the brink of collapse, and the only way to save it is through a powerful alliance with an influential family. That alliance comes in the form of marriage, to Chen Zheyuan. Chen Zheyuan in this version is not cold-hearted or cruel. He is simply bound by expectations just as tightly as she is. His family wants stability, reputation, and control. A contract marriage becomes the compromise. No love required, no emotions involved, just signatures on paper binding two lives together for mutual benefit. At first, their relationship is distant and carefully calculated. In public, they appear flawless. Perfect smiles, subtle touches, coordinated appearances that convince everyone they are deeply in love. Behind closed doors, however, silence fills the space between them. Separate thoughts, separate worlds. A shared home that feels unfamiliar. Yet even the strictest contract cannot control the human heart. Over time, Zhao Lusi begins to notice the small, unspoken gestures. The living room light left on when she works late. The quiet concern in his voice when she sounds tired. The way he ensures she eats before important events. None of it is dramatic. None of it is announced. But it is steady. And Chen Zheyuan too begins to see her differently. He notices how she shields him from unnecessary family tension. How she smiles reassuringly during public scrutiny. How she tries to understand the weight he carries without ever demanding explanations. What started as obligation slowly transforms into something neither of them anticipated. But the true conflict begins when the past resurfaces. In this fictional narrative, Zhao Lusi once had a first love, a relationship she was forced to abandon because of family pressure. When that former lover reappears unexpectedly at a charity gala, old emotions awaken. Familiar laughter, shared memories, the comfort of what once felt certain. Her heart becomes divided. On one side is the man who once made her believe in forever. On the other is the husband who was never meant to be permanent, yet has quietly become her safest place. Chen Zheyuan senses the shift. He notices the way her eyes soften at her phone screen. The hesitation in her voice. The distance growing between them again. But instead of anger, he chooses honesty. For the first time, he confesses that the marriage is no longer just a contract to him. Somewhere between shared dinners and silent understandings, his feelings changed. He doesn't know exactly when it happened. Perhaps the night she fell asleep waiting for him. Perhaps the day she defended him without hesitation. Zhao Lusi is stunned. She had believed she was alone in her confusion. Instead, she realizes they are both standing at the same emotional crossroads. Meanwhile, their families apply new pressure. The alliance must be solidified. Public expectations rise. Rumors begin circulating. The carefully hidden contract threatens to be exposed. The weight of reputation becomes suffocating. And then comes the choice. Will Zhao Lusi return to her first love, the one that once defined her youth? Or will she choose the man who began as a responsibility but has quietly become her present reality? In the most heartfelt version of this story, she realizes that love is not only about passion or nostalgia. It is about who stays when things are complicated. It is about who chooses you even when there is no obligation left. She chooses honesty. She chooses the man who stood beside her not because he had to, but because he wanted to. And for the first time, their marriage is no longer defined by ink on paper. The contract may have been the beginning, but love becomes the ending. Of course, this is purely a fictional romantic narrative inspired by the popularity of Zhao Lusi and Chen Zheyuan as an on-screen couple. In reality, both are professional actors known for delivering convincing chemistry in their projects, particularly in Hidden Love, without any confirmed romantic relationship off-screen. Still, stories like this continue to captivate fans. Because sometimes, the most compelling romances are the ones that begin without love, only to discover it along the way. And so, what began as a signature on paper slowly transformed into something far more fragile, and far more powerful. In the end, a contract can arrange a wedding, can protect a family name. It can silence rumors and satisfy expectations. But it can never dictate the direction of a heart. In this imagined world inspired by Zhao Lusi and Chen Zheyuan, love was never supposed to be part of the agreement. And yet, somewhere between obligation and understanding, between distance and quiet devotion, something real began to grow. Because sometimes the person who stays, who listens, who protects, who chooses you even when they don't have to, becomes more than a responsibility. They become home. Whether it's on screen in Hidden Love or in the stories we imagine beyond it, what captivates us isn't just romance. It's the transformation, the slow burn, the realization that love doesn't always start loudly, but when it's real it stays. This has been Jikook Universe, where contracts may begin the story, but the heart decides how it ends.